Another case of stranger danger near a mid-Missouri school, this time in Fulton, where police say a man threatened to kidnap 3 kids. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Reed.
And I'm Emily Spain. Tonight, officers are still looking for the man. KOMU8's Jenna Puritz is live at the elementary school where it happened. Three McIntyre Elementary kids were walking home yesterday when a man approached them in a vehicle and threatened to kidnap them. The kids ranged from age 6 to 10 years old. I spoke with Fulton police today that said the man has characteristics of brown hair, brown eyes, a brown beard, and was seen driving a black 4-door sedan. He told the kids, "I'm going to kidnap you." The grandmother who lives with the kids called McIntyre Elementary this morning to tell them what happened. The school then called Fulton Police, who then increased officers in the school zone. I spoke with Fulton Police Major Roger Rice, who said this is an ongoing investigation and they're still conducting interviews.
They walked in a group. They were not walking alone, and the minute that they saw something that frightened them, they ran. They did exactly what they were supposed to do, and if everything was the way they said it was, that might have saved them.
Major Rice said this threat was not at all connected to the threat that happened in Jefferson City yesterday. He did say that if you see anything out of the ordinary or suspicious in the area, call Fulton Police right away. Reporting live from Fulton, Jenna Puritz, KOMU8 News. In the Jefferson City case, Crime Stoppers is now offering a $500 reward. Jeff City Police are looking for information that leads to the arrest of the man who attempted to abduct a child. It happened yesterday morning near West Elementary School. The suspect tried to grab a young girl, but she got away and ran safely to school. Here's what we know about that suspect. He's a white man, possibly in his 30s. Police say he was driving a bright red 4-door pickup truck. They believe the truck has Missouri license plates and the last digit might be an 8. If you have any information, call Jeff City Police or Crime Stoppers. And if you have kids at home, here's some things to remind them. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, point out safe places they can go for help when walking, like schools and businesses. Warn them about accepting rides or changing plans without your permission, and teach them to watch out for tricks abductors would use, like offering money or asking for help.
Take a look at this. Our Sky 8 drone footage shows where a man dumped a pickup truck in Osage County today and ran into the woods. A short time before, Stephen Brandon was in the Osage County courthouse. After hearing something from his lawyer, he got up, ran out the building, and jumped in his pickup truck. A high-speed chase ensued. It ended when he drove across someone's yard, hopped out of the truck, and ran in the woods. He was found several hours later in neighboring Gasconade County. County Sheriff summed up today's events.
The first encounter we had back in October, when the original arrest, was uneventful. He was taken in custody without incident, was taken to the Osage County Jail and processed in.
He's held tonight with no bond. The initial charge was for drug possession.
Some residents are upset because the National Weather Service did not issue a tornado warning in Randolph or Miller counties on Monday. One key reason, the location of the National Weather Service radar centers. There is one in Kansas City and another in St. Louis. The radar from both intersect mid-Missouri at 11,000 feet. Randolph County's Emergency Management Director says tornadoes below that level are hard to detect.
We're a little vulnerable at night because we don't have the radar coverage to cover it. And visually, when you visually see one, it's pretty much on top of your folks by that time already anyway.
The Randolph County tornado damaged dozens of properties, and the one in Miller County tore the roof off of at least one house. Looks like the coats are here to stay. Another cold front is nearing mid-Missouri. Kenton is here to give us a look at his latest forecast. Kenton.
Emily, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. We've had just a little bit of precipitation rolling through, and I say precipitation because it was some ice pellets here up north and just some sprinkles falling down at that point, and now it's pretty much dissipated out of the area. And again, really no accumulation with this north of our area. There were some dustings, though, across northern Missouri. 35 degrees in Columbia, 37 in Jefferson City, in the 20s already up north, 29 in Moberly and Salisbury. Feeling like teens up there, feeling like 17 degrees up in Moberly and Salisbury. We're still feeling like 20s here right in Columbia. Otherwise, winds still breezy behind this cold front now, and they're in from the northwest, about 16 miles an hour there in Moberly and Boonville and Columbia as well. So that's going to clear out here for the rest of our night. We're left with just a few clouds for our morning tomorrow, but then we're going to see a lot of sunshine by the end of our day on Thursday. High temperatures very cold. We're at 33 degrees there. All that full forecast coming up later.
Here's what's happening right now. It's gone from bad to worse in Southern California as a fifth major wildfire breaks out. One of the fires burning is in the Los Angeles area right now. The fires are right near the 405, one of the nation's busiest freeways. More than 60,000 acres have burned. Tens of thousands of people have evacuated from their homes. It's still unknown what caused the fires. Also in California, a small magnitude 4.2 earthquake happened near San Diego County this afternoon. There were no reports of any injuries or damage.
The latest on sexual allegations. Senator Al Franken is expected to make a statement tomorrow after a handful of Democratic senators called for him to resign today. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was the first senator to issue a statement on social media. Other Democratic senators, including Claire McCaskill, issued statements also calling for him to step down. Franken has been accused by several women for unwanted touching, groping, and forcible kissing. After sexual misconduct allegations, Roy Moore is less than a week away from the special election in Alabama. Yesterday, Moore got help from former President Trump advisor Steve Bannon. Protesters interrupted the event twice. They were met by security. Moore said everybody in the nation is waiting to see what Alabama voters are going to do. He continues to deny allegations.
The debate on guns took center stage today in the U.S. Senate. Members discussed tightening up the federal gun background check system and eliminating bump stocks in a hearing. This comes 2 months after the largest mass shooting in American history in Vegas, followed shortly by the Texas church shooting. Senators from both sides expressed anger that the Sutherland Springs, Texas church shooter was allowed to buy guns. That's because the Air Force failed to notify the FBI background check system of his felony conviction. Senators also discussed bump stocks, which allowed the Las Vegas shooter to modify his weapons into fully automatic guns. But over in the House of Representatives, it passed a bill today making it easier to legally carry a concealed gun across state lines. The bill was approved largely along party lines. It would allow gun owners with a state-issued concealed carry permit to carry a gun in any other state that allows concealed weapons. It still needs a Senate vote. Today, President Trump announced the U.S. will officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. This is a new position for the U.S. in the decades-long Israeli-Palestinian fight over disputed territory. President Trump says this is actually a step toward peace, and his focus won't change from making a fair deal for both sides. Israel says it's a shiny day, but critics say it's a dangerous move.
Muslims across the Middle East warned of disastrous consequences. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas rejected the announcement. He says it was tantamount to the U.S. abdicating its role as a peace mediator.
Small-town folks with no ambulance dedicated to their emergencies, who's trying to help them and how it's hurting others.
It does, it depletes our service.
It's still taking services away when we respond into Audrain County.
Tonight, we're continuing a Target 8 investigation into rural health care as 2 ambulance districts try to respond to calls they aren't actually required to. We've found there are 9 counties in our viewing area that don't have a hospital, and some mid-Missourians are up to an hour away from emergency health facilities. Now, we're looking at one specific area that's having issues because there is no dedicated ambulance service. Here's what's happening. One call for an ambulance in part of Audrain County will dispatch 2 ambulances, an Audrain ambulance and a Boone Hospital ambulance. And this area doesn't pay to maintain these services. KOMU8's Danielle Katz is in the studio to explain how, as a consequence, it's actually pulling services from both counties when emergency strikes.
This area west of Mexico School District is outside of Audrain County's tax-supported ambulance district. Boone Hospital's Centralia base and Audrain's district have drawn a line along routes E and FF to determine how they will respond to calls. Medic 131, the Centralia ambulance, will go on calls in areas to the left of the line, and Audrain County is responsible for calls to the right. But the ambulance districts want this to change because they say it's unfair to thousands of people who live in their districts.
It's the call we hope we never have to make.
It's bad for someone to wait, and if you've ever had to wait on an ambulance at all, it seems like forever.
Cash has waited forever too, but for a response to a problem no one has solved.
2 ambulances called to a medical, trauma, whatever the call may be, so they're taking 2 ambulances out of service for 1 household or 1 patient.
And if one of Audrain's 2 ambulances is out on a call,
I can't send it over there to those folk out of our district, because I've got 20,000 people here that may need it.
The districts have answered more than 100 calls in the uncovered area this year. That's about one every 3 days.
It does get to be a strain on the system as that volume continues to go up.
That's because Carr says these calls take away from his primary coverage area for that ambulance: Centralia, Sturgeon, and Hallsville.
It leaves them uncovered and waiting for a longer response time for an ambulance to come from Columbia.
Time that could change lives.
A cardiac arrest, if you don't get help, someone doing CPR pretty well immediately, it's very hard to get you recover from that.
He says people don't realize the consequences of the current system.
No one's took the initiative to get anything started.
He's tried to tell them.
I've actually driven out, knocked on doors.
And so did I. No one I spoke to in the area wanted to go on camera, but some told me they are concerned. Others said they aren't because the Boone Hospital ambulance is close enough.
If we're tied up servicing that western 1/3 of Audrain County, there's other resources having to cover our primary first due area.
While it is a strain, for now it's how the system will stay because it has to.
In the interest of public safety and the way we do business, we will always send an available resource if we have it.
And they want people to help them do their best.
We want people to start their service, get a service, join our service, get Boone County to cover them. Something needs to be done so these people have a dedicated service in their area.
A dedicated service for people who need care.
Audrain County held a vote to annex the uncovered area in 2012, but it failed by 9 no votes. Cash wanted to get another vote on the ballot for April 2018, but he says he could not get anyone to start a petition and gather enough signatures. And saving lives in part of Audrain County will come at a higher cost next year. Ambulance rides will cost hundreds of dollars more for those not covered by an ambulance district. In the studio, Danielle Katz, KOMU 8 News.
Thanks, Danielle. Now, if you missed our report tonight at 6 o'clock, you can go to KOMU.com and then just go over to the Target 8 tab.
All right, let's take a look at our travel forecast out the door. Tomorrow, you're looking at cold temperatures all across these areas. We're in the 30s and 40s, even only 28 for the high temperature there in Chicago, but no delays are expected in these areas. I'll have you update of the full forecast that's coming up right after the break.
A national problem, opioid addiction, how one Missouri rep plans to combat it at a state level, in part by supplying needles. We'll explain how she says that will actually help after the break. Welcome back. A national crisis affecting people right here in the Show Me state. Now a state representative wants to pass 2 new bills to reduce the opioid epidemic. KOMU 8's Shalita Norwood spoke with the lawmaker today to find out what's on the agenda.
Today I spoke with Representative Martha Stevens, who says the opioid epidemic is a statewide issue. She says she pre-filed 2 new bills that would improve Missourians' current conditions. One of the bills would help mothers who are addicts, and the other will reduce the spread of HIV and hepatitis C.
Nobody has seen anything like what's going on now.
Just a couple of months ago, President Trump declared the opioid epidemic a public health crisis. And now,
I pre-filed 2 different bills, and these bills are an effort to combat the opiate and heroin epidemic that our whole country is facing.
State Representative Martha Stevens says Missouri is not exempt from the national issue. She says the first bill is geared toward mothers who are suffering with addiction.
And right now, moms in Missouri can get coverage through Medicaid or the Show Me Healthy Babies program through pregnancy, but just 60 days postpartum after they give birth, they lose that coverage. So my bill expands coverage up to the first 12 months after a baby is born.
While the second bill would decriminalize needle exchange programs. She says it will reduce the spread of HIV and hepatitis C through dirty needles.
For folks that are suffering from addiction and are intravenous drug users, this is a harm reduction policy.
Stevens says the only way the plan will work is if
Republicans and Democrats can come together to push forward many different policies to address this issue.
And Trump says,
we can be the generation that ends the opioid epidemic.
If the bill is passed, the bill will go into effect in 2018. Stevens says at this time, 13 counties in Missouri are at risk for an HIV breakout. She says the needle exchange program can reduce that risk. Reporting live in the studio, Shalita Norwood, KMU8 News.
Highlights of Down to the Wire Centralia Tournament semifinal action next in sports.
Now here's a look at what we're following for KMU8 News today. How one Columbia neighborhood hopes streetlights will be a simple fix to crime.
Hear about a plan to shine a light on suspicious activity. That's tomorrow morning. Kenton.
And you're going to want your winter coat as you head out the door tomorrow. This is what we are feeling like. The wind chills out there at 7 a.m. in the lower teens, maybe even some single digits. 8 degrees feeling like in Moberly and Macon tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we're at 21 there for the actual temperature, then 33 in the afternoon. All the warmer we're getting is 33, feeling only like 20. So, of course, with the wind chill,
ouch,
we'll be warmer by the weekend.
I need one of those auto starts, you know, where you can just hit a button and your car starts outside.
Have all
it's
the heat
nice and warm. You get in. No, I don't have that.
Christmas present?